Por que badminton?
Why badminton?
Porque o badminton, quando eu já tinha começado a construção da piscina, eu fui atleta de natação e para atrair as crianças através da piscina.
Ok, eu vou traduzir. So he had already started to dig a pool to try to attract the children from the slum, the favela, as we call it in Brazil, into the world of sports through swimming. Pode continuar.
E na trajetória, depois, durante a construção, um professor apareceu com uma raquete alienígena.
Então, so in the middle of this process, Sebastião is a phys ed teacher. One of his colleagues showed up with a badminton racket, which seemed like from another world, like E.T. phone home type stuff.
So we can actually do the interview just like this.
Yeah.
Can you see us, Sebastián?
Já tá vendo, tá vendo.
So you saw people using a badminton net.
Você viu as pessoas usando badminton e daí você se apaixonou. So he fell in love with badminton.
And
Eu fiquei curioso, perguntando, falei, que esporte é esse?
He said, so I got curious. I started asking questions. Hey, what sport is this?
and did you ever have any doubts? Did you ever have any doubts that you didn't know how to play the game?
Você teve dúvidas por não saber jogar o badminton?
Não, eu nunca tinha ouvido falar nesse esporte.
He never, vou falar, he had never even heard of it before, so he didn't have any possibility to have doubts.
Big
Eu
question.
nunca tinha visto aquela raquete na minha vida.
He never saw it in his life.
So your goal, you knew that your goal was to try to save children from becoming drug dealers by saving them through sports.
So, então você sabia que o teu objetivo era salvar as crianças do mundo do tráfico através de esporte. Esse era o teu objetivo.
Sim, quando eu experimentei o badminton e vi que esse badminton ele conseguia atender meninas, meninos, gordo, magro, alto, baixo, preto e branco.
So he said when he first started playing badminton, he could see that it was a sport that could be enjoyed by children, young, women, girls, boys, tall, small, it didn't matter. That's where he saw the universality of
So you
the
realized
appeal.
it would be even better than swimming.
Aí você sacou que seria melhor do que natação.
Sim, eu tive a certeza de que, mesmo sem conhecer a pedagogia do esporte, eu tinha certeza que eles iam se divertir e atrair outros amigos e a gente ia conseguir.
Okay, so even though I knew nothing about the methodology of the sport, I could easily see that this was a sport that they could pick up fairly easily and they would have fun at and they would bring their friends to play with them.
What about this question? You support your organization completely through donations?
O teu apoio financeiro é totalmente via instituições ou quais são as fontes?
Nós temos vários amigos que participam do nosso trabalho.
We have a lot of friends that participate in this. Continua?
E um deles é a Rise Up and Care.
Um deles, Rise Up and Care, the Georgia Tech,
Okay.
Kirk Bowman, Professor Kirk Bowman from Georgia Tech has been a big help in terms of raising money for Sebastian. Rise Up and Care is the name of their
Rise Up and Care.
association.
Temos a Sufoco do Mark, que sempre sempre a gente quando tá no nosso foco, tem a oportunidade de fazer esse trabalho.
And we have Suffolk University through Mark, which always seems to come through. We're in our darkest, deepest moments. That comes through. E a Babson também. Babson also has helped in the past.
So
Quero dizer que essa ajuda da Babson e de Boston, ela vem muito mais recheada do que o próprio dinheiro.
Okay, what he's saying is that help from institutions like Babson and Suffolk University are actually worth more than the money. It's more about the what would you say, the international approval that's implicit in their help.
So speaking of the international...
Ele vai fazer outra pergunta.
Não, vou dizer o porquê.
Então fala aí, porque acho que eu já cumprimentei. Eu já sei a resposta.
Não, mas eu acho que você não sabe. Então qual a resposta?
Que todo o apoio, o patrocínio de instituições como essas agrega um valor.
Sim, mas para as crianças, a inclusão social é conhecer lugares diferentes, pessoas diferentes. E quando a gente recebe os alunos dentro das nossas instituições, isso permite que eles sonhem com mundos diferentes.
Okay, so what he's saying is the social inclusion that is implicit in the fact that schools, with reputations like Babson and Suffolk and so forth, are interested in their operation. For the kids, that means that's a huge
lift.
Yeah, huge
Huge
lift in
encouragement.
terms of their self-esteem and things like that.
Could we tell the story again that you told me, that there were students visiting an international group, and you called Sebastian and you said, look, there are people shooting, we need to stop. Can he tell that story? Can you guys tell that story together?
Eu contei para eles a história daquele traficante lá, o milícia, sei lá qualquer, que você me mandou o áudio.
I think you have to explain the context.
Dizendo que você me passou o áudio dele, onde ele fala, escuta, Sebastião, não precisa se preocupar, etc. Tal. Conta aí, como é que foi essa história?
And you need to explain the idea of the favelas, that it took a long time to walk.
Yeah,
to the
we had to
community.
walk through the favelas with Babson students. We had to walk through. I'm not sure I should be saying this.
No, it's real.
We had to walk through the favelas, and we wanted to make sure it was going to be safe for everybody, even though there had been shootings just a couple of weeks before.
So
Então, como é que foi? Como é que você entrou em contato com ele e tal?
Então, nós somos uma instituição dentro da favela,
So we're an institution inside the favela, slum,
muito respeitada.
very respected.
Então, e eles têm o respeito da comunidade.
And they also have the respect of the community.
Queira ou não queira, eles são a segurança do local.
Whether you like it or not, they're the ones that keep this peace and security here in the favela.
The drug dealers.
The drug dealers. They've taken over the job of the police and the government. Sim.
Eles lutam contra a invasão de outros grupos.
And they try to keep other groups out, other, violent groups out.
E combate a polícia.
And they also even fight the police.
Então, quando a gente vai receber uma visita, ela seja quem for,
So whenever we're going to have any visitor, whoever it is, even the consul of the United States has been to Miratus, and
vai proteger.
so who's going to protect them?
Miratus is the name of the favela.
Miratus is the name of his operation.
Outside of...
The name of the favela is
in
Chacrinha,
Chacrinha?
outside Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
Quem vai proteger a visita não é a polícia.
The guys who are going to protect that visitor is not the police, it's these dealers.
Quero dizer que quando Michael Jackson veio para Santa Marta para fazer clipe dele,
So when Michael Jackson came to do his clip in the favela of They Don't Care About Us,
quem teve que dar autorização foram os traficantes.
so who had to give Michael Jackson the authorization were the drug dealers.
Wow.
Então aqui não é diferente. Então eu nunca tive problema com isso.
So here it's no different. In this favela, it's no different than in Santa Marta. So I've never had a problem.
So in other words, the funny part of the story is that Sebastian sent you a recording
Yes.
of one of the drug dealers saying, don't worry, it's okay. In fact, we'll stop shooting for a full week.
Yes. Sebastião, contei para eles aquela história do áudio que o cara fala, não vai aparecer arma nenhuma, nem bala, por um dia. Aliás, se você quiser uma semana inteira, não vai ter... So Sebastian sent me, I said, Sebastian, we cannot have any violence. We cannot see any guns on the street. We cannot hear any shots fired.
Yeah.
So you got to do something. So he called the drug dealer, the head guy of this favela, and the guy came back and said, okay, Sebastian, no guns, no shots will be fired for the entire day. But if you want the entire week, that's okay too.
Unreal. Unreal. How long did it take to establish such a reputation? Can you ask how long did it take before the drug dealers respected him, even though he's preventing the
He's
drug
competing.
dealers? Yeah, he's preventing the drug dealers from hiring these kids. So 2 questions. Why aren't they angry with him for interfering with their operation? 2, how long did it take to establish that kind of credibility?
So, ele tem 2 perguntas. Os traficantes, você prega que você está indo atrás da criançada para eles não irem pelo caminho das drogas. E isso não ofende os traficantes, não ficam bravos com você?
Em nenhum momento.
Not a single moment. They're not upset about that.
Because it's just not a big enough
Os
interference?
traficantes, eles não querem que os seus familiares entrem para esse meio.
Os traficantes não querem, desculpa, eu não ouvi. Não querem o quê?
Os traficantes, eles não querem que os seus filhos, seus familiares e que as crianças não entrem.
The drug dealers themselves don't want their children in the drug trade.
Oh, weird. Not even as the...
The next, no, because they'll be dead by the time they're 40, they're dead.
Huh.
Eu quero dizer para eles que eu sou admirador do crime organizado.
He says, as a matter of fact, I admire organized crime.
Why?
Okay, he's going
Why,
to
yeah,
explain
sure,
why.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is, explica por quê.
Porque eles conseguem com eficiência
They are extremely efficient.
fazer a sociedade de bobo, de idiota.
They manage to fool everybody all the time.
Eles conseguem bagunçar, fazer de idiota doutores, mestres.
They manage to fool even the PhDs and the masters of educational world, the political world.
Eles encontram meu filho com 8, 9 anos e faz a capacitação deles.
So they get like my son or somebody's son, age 8, and turn him into an efficient instrument of their organization.
16, 15, 16 anos, depois que meus filhos estão fortes, pegando em armas, aí o Estado descobre que tem que fazer.
So between 8 and 15, 8 and 16, whatever, by the time they come on the radar of the government, the politicians, they're already, equipped for drug dealing and so forth. And that's when the government wakes up.
Oh, so the other question...
Após isso, eles criam ídolos do mal dentro da comunidade. Eles incentivam, eles desfilam com dinheiro, com armas, mostram poder.
So what happens is in the favela, these guys become the heroes. They've got the fancy motorcycles, they got the gold chains, they got, the fancy sneakers, the big clothes, the respect of the community. So the kids end up wanting to be like them. That's their role model.
What
E a
about...
evolução disso, eles se tornam cada vez mais profissionais.
So as a result of this, they're becoming more and more professional about their trade.
E a profissão deles é matar, é traficar, é não ter amor pela parte legal.
So their objectives, they end up killing, dealing in the drugs, addicting people, and have no respect for the rule of law.
Eles enxergam a sociedade como o leão vê a zebra, o gnus, a girafa como presas.
Okay, so they see society the same way that a lion sees a zebra or a giraffe. It's just somebody to take down. something. It's prey.
So it's very confusing, the relationship. They like his operation, saving the kids, but the way that you just translated, it sounds like they also see society as prey.
Well, society. Okay, now this is. Agora eu vou responder por você. I think what he's pointing out is society is general society. Within the favela, that's a micro society.
Okay.
So they set the rules for the micro society, but they exploit the general society.
Okay. Question, how long before they, in other words, it's okay to save the children within the favela as long as you don't interfere with their ability to make money from the surrounding city, outside of the favela.
Yeah.
Correct?
Então eles não se preocupem em você pegar essas crianças que teriam se tornado aviões desde que não afeta o negócio deles.
Não, só para concluir, eles fazem uma abordagem de maneira sutil.
He says they start off with a very, very subtle approach to these kids.
Nas nossas crianças evoluem. E só para concluir aquele meu raciocínio, quando eles atacam como leões a sociedade como presa e mata uma pessoa importante, a imprensa começa a elogiar eles. Monstro. Tem que ter pena de morte.
Tá. So when they get old enough and they actually start killing and might even kill somebody that's famous or a celebrity or a politician or whatever, that's when the media kicks in and starts to make them into like public figures, even, and call them monsters and everything, but they become famous.
Question, how long before he started to get that kind of respect that there'd be a ceasefire?
Sebastião, ele está querendo saber, a gente vai terminar por aqui, ele está querendo saber quando que você começou e quando que você começou a ter esse respeito desse pessoal todo.
Bom, é porque nós começamos a fazer, como eu te disse, eu copio esse mesmo modelo deles. Eles chegam de forma sutil e eu chego com esporte antes dele, com 6 anos. Com 8, 9 anos, nossas crianças já estão sendo campeãs.
Mas que ano que você começou?
Aqui a construção do projeto em 1996.
So 1996 is when he started, and he's just pointed out that, so he uses the same subtle approach to try to convince the kids to go down the road of sports rather than the road of drugs. So he gets them when they're 6 years old.
Okay.
A little earlier. E quando ele está querendo saber quando que os traficantes começaram a respeitar você para mandar esse áudio, por exemplo? Quanto tempo demorou?
Porque na comunidade que eu estou, não é traficante, é milícia.
A milícia.
Então, desde que eu comecei a construir, eles não sabiam o que eu ia fazer. Então, nós começamos a viajar para os campeonatos. Até então, eles não sabiam, nem davam importância. E quando foi avançando, ganhou a mídia, começou a ter repercussão, aí eles passaram a respeitar esse trabalho.
Okay, so what he's saying is, at first, the militia, it's not even drug dealers in his particular favela. You usually have either the ex-police run the favela or the drug dealers. In his favela, it's the ex-police that are running the favela. So he said that when they first started, when Miratus first began, they didn't even take notice. And they only began to see something was happening when they would travel, like he's in Mexico right now. He's at the Pan American Games for badminton in Mexico at this very moment. And that was what began to call the attention of these leaders, these militia guys. But by that point, they said, well, this is cool. This is good for the favela. We're in favor of the favela.
It took a few years.
So it took, many years.
How many children would he estimate that he has now changed? Affected?
Quantas crianças já passaram pelo Miratus até hoje?
Mais de 3.000 crianças.
More than 3,000.
3,000?
Yeah.
And since 1996?
Yeah. And he usually has on the floor I would say anywhere between 200 to 300.
Com uma parceria com o Estácio, que é conseguido pelo Jim, que foi o cônsul dos Estados Unidos. Essa parceria com o Estácio, nós temos várias pessoas formadas em educação física, em contabilidade, já trabalhando na empresa.
So what he's saying is that in over these years, for example, I was saying the consul of Rio de Janeiro, como é que é o sobrenome dele? É Jim, esqueci.
E caramba, eu também.
Jim, but anyway, he
Jim Story.
yeah, Jim Story. Jim Story was a consul a few years ago. We went there with Babson, and Jim went with us, the consul. And so Jim was one of the people that was responsible for getting one of Rio's top universities to also sponsor. To also sponsor Sebastian and give him a avenue for his kids to go on and become phys ed teachers, get their college degrees and stuff like that. Vai acabar aqui a bateria, então nós vamos dizer tchau.
We'd like to wish.
Para ele aí que esses garotos que você ajudou a trazer para cá, os 4 que estão aqui, eles começaram com 6 anos no projeto, hoje aí dá orgulho aí para o Brasil, para nossa.
Yeah, he's saying that the kids that I and a few others, Suffolk, etc., helped pay for their passage their ticket to Mexico, are going on the courts today and hopefully will bring back a gold medal.
Agora projeto dentro da favela ganhar nos Estados Unidos, Canadá.
Yeah.
Olha só.
So he's saying, think about this. We're coming from a slum and we're beating the players of the United States, Canada, and so forth. Imagine what that means to these children.
So, and they might go to the Olympics, right?
Yes. Well, his son will go. His son's already qualified.
How do we say good luck in Portuguese? Bom fortuna?
Boa sorte.
Boa?
Muito obrigado. Eu vou mandar uma medalha aí dos jogos para ele mostrar o seu trabalho.
Tá.
Last question.
Mandar no teu zap aí.
Tá bom.
Last big question.
Ele quer uma última palavra. Peraí.
What is the secret? I heard it's the samba dance. He teaches them samba footwork.
Yeah.
You were telling me. Is that true?
Yes.
Is that the secret of the success?
O segredo da sua metodologia é samba.
Sim, o samba ele trabalha o jogo de perna.
Yeah. Samba is footwork.
Então eu copiei isso do pular corda.
So I copied that in exchange for jump roping. So they learned samba rather than jump rope.
And that's the secret of the footwork. That's why they're so good.
Footwork, yeah. We'll show you the.
Para melhorar o jogo de perna.
Yeah, footwork is all about footwork.
Vou mandar para você.
Tá bom. Tchau, Sebastião.
Tchau.
Prazer te ver. Fala pro pessoal que você está no ar aqui na Babson College.
And what's his biggest piece of advice for people who are starting something?
Agradece a Babson, a direção daí por essa oportunidade.
Okay.
What's his biggest advice?
Então, raiz da melhor forma possível.
Tá. Sua última palavra de conselho pro ouvinte. He just thanked Babson for this opportunity.
Bom, eu desejo que todos que consigam chegar em determinado ponto de estágio na vida sempre tenta resgatar aqueles que precisam.
Okay, my word of advice is if you achieve any level of success, turn around and help the people that need your helping hand.
Faça uma diferença na vida deles, porque dia eles vão fazer diferença na vida deles.
So make a difference in their lives, and then one day they'll make a difference in the lives of others.
Okay, beautiful.
Assim é.
Muito obrigado.
Tchau, Sebastião.
Obrigado, Mark.
Tchau.
Muito obrigado.
Tudo de bom, obrigado. Tchau.
Ciao, ciao.